Going on, guys? Today I'm going to show you and tell you about my personal upgrade and why my computer was overheating. As you can see, it's stripped down now, but I'm going to get into the basics of two reasons why my computer was overheating and why I upgraded my AIO cooler and my case, which is the most two basic important parts of your PC. All right, let's go. Hello guys, so today I am going to talk to you about the two major reasons why I upgraded everything and why my PC was overheating. Now, as you can see next to me, this is my old build. This is what I had before my new build, which I am using currently right now to record, of course. But as you can see, I have a motherboard, AIO cooler, and the case still here. Now, this is a thermal take, 37 ARGB, I just want to make that clear. This is a Cooler Master Master Liquid, I believe. It is a, let me double check, ML24OL version 2 RGB, which was actually pretty good. It kept it cool in the long run, but honestly, I started seeing a lot of things that I did not like. At first, I opened it up, and there was this RGB hub that was connected to it to kind of control the RGBs, and it shorted out. It didn't work, and I saw that one of the pins was bent. So being a new PC builder, I was kind of discouraged, and I thought that, this was it. I couldn't do nothing about it. So I didn't even try to contact them, see if I can get another piece. I wasn't really worried about it. At the same time, I was a little upset because I did buy it for the RGB to add to the aesthetic to the case. The second part is after a couple months, I would say probably 6 months at max. So you see these two tubes right here, right? So these two tubes are supposed to vibrate. When you hold on to them, when you grab them, they're supposed to vibrate because that's the fluid going in, transporting itself in and out, cold and hot, to reach the actual pocket right here, this little, the actual cooler, which has the copper plate that goes on top of your CPU. So you can see I still have a little bit of that thermal paste on there, but I took it off, of course. And I noticed that one of them, like I said, wasn't working. So initially I thought that it was broke. Later I found out that it might have been an air bubble, something that was stuck to either the radiator or inside the actual liquid cooler. So I found out that the placement of the actual cooler is very important of where it is because of the tubing and also because of hot air in the liquid cooler. Now, of course, you have hot air in it. It's going to rise, and it's going to go to the very top of where it is. Now, as you can see, when I put it on where the CPU should be, which is right about there, you see that the tubes are going across, right? So it's going to go to the very top. So it's most likely going to go to the radiator. Now, that radiator where it is right now, that is the standoff of the intake and the outtake. So there might have been an air bubble that was stuck here at some point. Right here or here, of course. And I didn't think nothing of it. Once I did my research after, upgrading my new build, I kind of realized that it was a dumb mistake and I should have probably taken this apart and probably moved it around. What people suggest is that you move around your case. You kind of just lift it, go side to side, trying to get that air bubble out. I don't like doing that because, one, of course, your PC is extremely heavy, depending on what's in your build. So, that was my first mistake. I don't want people to make that mistake of, just instantly thinking that they need to buy a new one just because of things like that. I'm actually going to take this apart and just kind of move it around, see if I can fix it. Maybe, try to give it to somebody else who is in need of one. It's still working condition. The fans work, the RGB works technically. I used a backup one from a previous Cooler Master that had an RGB hub. I think I still have it. I'm not sure what component it was, but I put that hub onto it and it worked just fine. The only bad part is, though, every now and then it would reset back to red, which was the default color for it for some reason. It wasn't purple. I don't understand that because, Cooler Master is all about the purple. I don't know what you're doing, Cooler Master, but, fix that. And I also thought that it was another component, which was the biggest component, which is number 2, your case. So your case has to have airflow. It has to have an intake and an exhaust. So what I mean by that is, so this case has two 200mm fans in the front. There's one and there's two, but it has a glass panel. and the intake is on the side, which is this little mesh right here, which is not all the way connected, but it's pretty open. But at the same time, airflow is limited. So of course you're not going to get that much going into it. Also, about your fans and intake, of course, once you see the fan, you see the actual front of the fan. That means it's actually intaking, like it's gonna take it in. But the way it is, it should be the other way around, because all that cold air should be coming into the case, not going out. So once the cold air actually went into the case, immediately it was sent out through these two fans, and that's not okay because it wasn't reaching the CPU or the GPU. So it was getting a little hotboxed in there. And also, I couldn't really place my AIO cooler, let's say at the top, because the top is supposed to be right here, which is supposed to be the best place for mounting your AIO cooler. Now, I had a problem with this because, one, my cooler, it didn't really fit in most places, and even then it was short, like the tubes were short, so I had to be very particular about where to put it. I could have put it in the front, but I wanted to keep those 200 millimeter fans on there. I thought they were helping out a lot. But also, this is why I switched my case, because again, I went for the aesthetic and didn't think about airflow. So just give me one sec. This is the actual, front panel. It's an acrylic case for this PC case. As you can see, it goes all the way around. It goes up top. So there was no way for me to mount that AIO cooler. So I set myself up for like failure, starting off already. So I don't want people out there to make the same mistake, Like I paid about $170 for this case, I believe, or $160. I went to Micro Center and picked it out, and I was like, oh my god, this is an awesome case. I'm going to be able to see it. It's pretty cool. It has an acrylic top, but I never thought about airflow. I never thought about my CPU because I was a new beginner, and new beginners just want what looks good and flashy and nice and RGB, and I should have spent either a little bit less money and done my research, or a little bit more money and actually had a case that was worth building into. So, but yeah, so that's my story. I don't want anybody else out there to be discouraged about building a PC and their CPU either overheating because of stupid stuff like that, because of actual hardware, nothing going on in your actual computer as far as software and other stuff. This is where it starts. Your case and your cooler is where it starts, because after a while your CPU is going to get hot and it's going to warp it. You don't want that, and you want it to last as long as possible. Your CPU will get hot, but it needs to be maintained at a good temperature. Idle should be anywhere from 20 to 35, depending on your CPU, maybe 30 to 40. Playing a game, maybe 50 to 60, not really that high. Maybe rendering a video, 70 tops. Benchmark should be no more than 85, depending on if you're using Cinebench or not. It's going to put a lot of stress on your CPU, later on when you put your build together and see where your computer stands at. But yeah, I think right now I'm happy with my build. My build is very cold. I have a NZXT, Z63 Kraken RGB lights. Of course, I had to go for it. I went with the all-white aesthetic look, which looks amazing to me. I love every bit of it. I mean, as soon as I open that door, it's like sub-zero temperatures to me, It keeps cool. I think idle, it's like 20 to 30. Playing any game is 30 to 40. I'd say 30 to 43, somewhere around there. Never gets higher than that. Rendering videos about 50 to 60. And Cinebench, or when I was benching it, it didn't go higher than 72. So that was pretty cool, And I believe I have the same kind of like this setup, which is two 200 millimeter fans in the front. I have two 140s as intakes. Another 140s on the radiator up top, which is the NZXT. And then I can only fit a 120 millimeter in the back, which is fine because it's going to be an exhaust anyway. But sooner or later, like I said, I do want to upgrade to the M.2 SSD drives, just because I want to get the SSD drives off the ground of the case and kind of put more fans in there just to get, you know, another cooler setting. I feel like the more fans are better, but also know that, you know, about intake and exhaust, because you want to have a good flow throughout your computer. You want to make sure that it stays cold and cool as long as possible, depending on what you're doing, gaming, rendering videos, even just office work. If you're going to be on your computer for a long time, those are the key components that you have to think about. It's something so simple as just cooling and airflow, you know? But I hope that my experiences have helped you. And if you liked what you saw, don't forget to like and subscribe to this video. And if you have any comments, just put them down below. Or any questions, you know, I'll answer them. Anything for, you know, new beginners or anybody just with curious questions, you know, we'll get to you as soon as possible. But I just want to thank you for your time, and I'll see you guys soon, okay?